Good morning. I apologize for being late this morning.
Oh, no problem.
I actually fell back asleep.
You didn't practice the 5-second rule.
Well, I did.
Oh, you practiced getting up. You just didn't. Yeah, okay, I got you.
Oh, I shouldn't have that on the recording.
No. Chuck, you used it to fall back asleep. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's okay if the world knows that I fell back asleep on one day.
Thank you.
So anyway, I figured this thing out.
Okay. Crack the code.
All right, I'm going to crack the code on this. We're going to finish this chapter today. It's going to make sense, and we're going to put this behind us. So it's a 3-step thing. You send out an email. That email sends people to a short survey, and then you analyze what people put in on the survey. So that's it. That's the 3 steps.
Mm-hmm.
And we already talked about, if you've got a list or if you don't have a list, we're at the stage now where we got to write the email.
Yeah.
So the email is really just simply asking people, look, I want to be able to send you stuff that's of interest to you. And, if you don't mind taking 2 minutes to take a quick survey, it really helped me out a lot. And he's got the actual text to it in there, so you could basically just take that text and modify it to suit you.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say this, that Russell Bronson's text of the same email I liked a little bit better from the and
why is that, Chuck?
I think it was a little, well, it was shorter for one thing.
It's more concise.
And it was just very concise.
Yeah.
He didn't go on and on. Whereas this author has a tendency to say things not in few words, but in many words.
Many words. I agree with that.
So, it's really just a matter of style.
Yeah.
So the email is asking them if they'll take a quick survey. I think it's important that it says how many minutes it's going to take that survey. And in his letter, I noticed that he said 5 minutes, and then later he said 2 minutes. At least that was my understanding of it. So, again, being concise, I think, is very important.
But I would agree, though, that these questions that he's asking is very important, because really all people are having problems no matter what niche you're in.
Yeah, and I realized as I sat down, last night I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this thing out if it kills me. One of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to figure this out or I'm going to stay on figuring it out. So, I realized I'm already doing it. Because I don't know if I mentioned in the group, but I mentioned to you, Abdul, that I just sent out a letter for a sales course that I'm writing. Saying, what's your number one challenge with sales? And this was sent to a list of photographers.
Yep.
And so that's basically what the author here is saying to do, except he's saying to take it a step further and have it be a survey. But the first question on the survey is totally open-ended. What's your biggest challenge with, and whatever it is that you want to find out about. So what's your biggest challenge?
That's it. That's question number 1.
Yeah,
because everybody has something that they're challenged.
As you go through questions, you're going to have people falling off and stop taking the survey. So if they only answer one question, that's the one you really need answered.
Yeah.
So you can have a couple more questions after that. Like the next question, just a 2-choice thing. Put them into broad categories. Like in his example, are you male or female? Because in his example, whether you're a man or a woman determined what the message was going to be. Now, like on mine, it doesn't matter if they're man or woman because it's not really gender specific. But maybe I might ask, are you full-time or part-time?
See, I thought he was trying to just ask these straightforward questions just to try to get an answer. Like, you don't have to go in depth to say, are you a male or female? It's either A or B.
Well, that's the other reason. But he's not asking any questions just to be asking a question.
Yeah.
The second question has to be super simple. It's one or the other. You just check one, and it's not intrusive at all. It's just, hey, look, are you this or are you that?
Yeah.
So, and then he goes on. He didn't really say, or at least I didn't see where he said how many questions are in this survey. But I'm thinking it needs to be not many.
I want to say that he did mention like 6, and then I thought like, oh, that's a lot of questions you're asking. But he said later on in the chapter that it doesn't matter if they fall off, because the people that are most likely to answer all the questions are probably going to be your potential customer.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of a technical thing, and Sean, this is a question for you really, is when people are taking the surveys, can the survey collect the information without them clicking submit?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, really?
Because when they click next, they're clicking submit for that question.
That's true. Yeah.
It just doesn't say submit, it says next.
I got you. Because that's one thing I was wondering, if somebody stops taking the survey midway through, do you lose any data? So I guess not. So that's excellent.
Well, another thing I thought too, Chuck, was that if you're seeing this survey being filled out and you're like, okay, they only made it to question 3 when I had 7 questions, and they gave their phone number at the end, you're basically seeing a person like, well, hey, that person probably is a potential client. Then went ahead and filled out the whole freaking survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point to the multiplier.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and he's saying that, after you get this information, you're going to have to sit your butt down and go over it.
Yeah.
Now, he's got this Excel spreadsheet that assigns a score to each of these people, but at some point, you have to sit down. This part can't be automated.
Yeah, I thought that that formula was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Now, if you're into Microsoft Excel and doing statistical analysis and automating it, he had a whole thing in there about how to set up an Excel spreadsheet to make that happen.
Yep.
But it's not vital that you do that. It's just helpful if you do. The important thing is that we analyze the data. We actually sit down and go through it because we're going to see some patterns emerging.
Did you memorize the formula, Chuck?
No, I don't know how to use Microsoft Excel. So
same here.
Yeah, I used to know, but I don't remember now.
I'm either going to just not do it that way and just, do it manually, just sit down and go over them. Or, which is what I'm doing on my thing that I'm working on, or I'll have somebody else do it for me.
Yeah.
And of course, the author recommends that his company might be a good choice for doing that for you. So,
and see, that's another thing too. It's so complicated, and I think he knows that. So say, if you need some help, we can help you.
Right. And there's a lesson for us there.
Yeah. What is the lesson?
Well, lesson is to show the information, and if it is complicated and you think it's going to be a problem for people, you offer a solution.
Yeah.
Because that's really the point of the whole thing, the way I see it, is that instead of taking something that we're trying to sell and trying to sell it to people, we're finding out what the problem is and offering a solution.
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly. Trying to find what they really want, like trying to classify them real well to see, you know, where they're at and what they really want.
Yeah.
Well, an example of that is Expert Secrets. So Russell Brunson is laying out the plan on how to actually do the webinar, and Sean actually purchased funnel scripts. So he has another product that he created outside of that because he knew everybody was not going to just, you know, take this book, write down every slide, and do it. He made it easier. So he said that's always the case. So I'm gonna make a product that can do it for you in no time.
Right.
So it's actually gonna, because at first when he wrote the book, I'm thinking like, why would Russell Brunson give away the blueprint to doing a PowerPoint slide? But he knows that everybody's not going to do that.
And he's right.
He is right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a lot of work. I mean, you know, Abdul, you and I've been on Saturday mornings, we've been going through this. How much work have we put into the slides?
I mean, how many Saturday mornings? I mean, probably been maybe what, 6? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. And still not done.
It's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, doing the script thing, it may not be as good at the end of the day, but at least it's done.
Yeah.
It'll be better than the nothing that's going to happen with most people. You know?
But, yeah. But that, I want to ask a question though, Chuck, about that single biggest challenge. In your niche, what is your niche? Niche is like biggest challenge.
Well, you know, it's interesting you ask because, you know, for anybody that's new or doesn't know about this, I'm working on a sales training course for photographers. Mm-hmm. I think I know all about the photography industry, but I really don't. I only know my experience in it.
Yeah.
My personal experience is different than everybody else's personal experience. So what it revealed was one thing that was one that I guessed is that how do you go out there and sell against people who are charging a lot less? How do you do that?
Are you asking? Or that's what you tried?
No, that was the number one question.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
We kind of knew that was going to be one of the questions because we see that all the time.
Yeah. And the number two question was, how do I figure out what to charge?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I didn't really expect that because I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thing I asked because almost as many people were asking that question as the one that I assumed was the question.
But you know, it's funny you said that, Chuck, because when you said in the day and the age when everyone has a freaking cell phone, I would think that people would think, oh, I can't charge a lot because people can take pictures themselves.
Right.
Maybe that's one of the things that's holding them back.
Yeah, and that came up. Mm-hmm. So after sitting down, and I got...
So why fight the way, though?
What do you mean?
You know, as one of these iPhone photographers that you're talking about, to be very honest, one of my number one problems is really trying to compete with someone that's got a professional camera. Okay, because like here's one instance. One of my clients, he loves to shoot videos for YouTubes and things of that nature at a dealership, but he doesn't want to spend the money on a professional camera. Why not, instead of try to fight the wave and saying, hey, don't be this guy, why not have a course that shows if you want, it's kind of like the drone and the pilot guy. Why not have a course that shows you how to be the best iPhone photographer that you can, actually teaches you real photographer practices? Like, you know, like, I don't know, I'm just going like, you know, like depth perception and, you know, lighting and, you know, it's been 2 years, I still haven't got my green room lighting right. Okay, you know, I mean, stuff like that. And then if, you know, that's the introductory course, and then the upscale course would be, well, you know, you've made it this far, would you like to actually know how to become a professional photographer?
Well, that's part two to this, which, I mean, it's outside the scope of this book, but they're also telling you what they need to know. So
right.
if it's not part of this course, then it's going to be part of something else.
Right.
So that's, you're exactly right. That's how you find out what people will buy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. And we fall into that trap a lot, though, Chuck, is that we think we know what everybody wants. Whatever we're thinking, that's what everybody else is thinking. And that's so false.
Right. It's easy to assume that, but it's never true. And the author refers to it as, trying to shove your solution down somebody's throat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I could also just interject, people think they know what they want also.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point.
Well, that's coming up here. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. But like, we're full-time realtors, as most of you know here. So you'll take a client out and they say they want one particular thing, and then they'll get something totally different. So last week we met with a fellow realtor. We just were introduced to her, and she was saying that she took this client around who wanted a specific home and this and that and the other thing, and didn't want to be in the deed restricted and this and that. He ended up buying in a new build, deed restricted, no land. Meanwhile, he wanted all this land, and he wanted something completely opposite of what he got.
Totally.
I mean, like totally the opposite of what he ended up getting. And it's just kind of interesting, that situation, because you just never know
You never know.
to.
And that's what the guy's saying. No one knows really what they want.
Yeah. And that's why the open-ended question is so important.
Right.
Because out of their answers, you can kind of decipher some patterns. Because what the author talks about here is that with the open-ended question, you're not really asking them what they want. You're asking them what they don't want. And like in the case of our example we talked about a minute ago, they don't want to have to compete against iPhone photographers.
It's so funny, Chuck. Now that I think about it, because he actually says that Pat Flynn is one of his users of this program. And I remember when Pat Flynn would ask these open-ended questions, but he would ask them on his Facebook page because he had freaking a quadrillion people on his page. He's like, what is your number one, struggle in business? And then they would answer it, and he would literally form his course on their answers. And it's brilliant, because then it's like, I feel like he's speaking to me. But everybody pretty much gave him the content to write for his course. And it wasn't built until that, and then later on you'll find out about maybe 2 weeks later, he said, hey, I'm coming out with the pre-course. And a lot of those titles were the answers that people were putting in that post.
Yeah,
and then he builds his course.
That also informs you on what your marketing needs to address.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I want to hasten to say that, in our example here, we're talking about courses, but this works for products too.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else. So, don't be thinking this only works for courses. That just happens to be the example.
I think that's the best compliment when your clients, your potential, your people, your tribe tells you, oh my gosh, I feel like you're speaking to me. Like the best feedback you want to hear is that you speaking to them, that really speaks to them.
Just yesterday, 2 guys called me. I got an email. The guy said, I'm getting ready to create this app, and you did a video on YouTube, and it got a lot of traction. I wanted to see that it's going to be beta, and the guy's going to come on probably next week. He says it's in beta right now, but they quit their job because now they have funding for this app. And he's literally asking me questions about this app, and he's not even the demographic. The app is to lend money to family members. And I'm like, what do you mean lend money? He said, you did a video where you were talking about you should never lend money to family members. I want to do an app that helps people if they do have that problem. There has to be terms. So you can literally lend your friend money, and you can set up the terms, put their bank account information in it, and you can set them up on a monthly plan. He's not even in that demographic. He's asking me questions. How does that work when people ask you money? And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't know? He said, no, I never. He said, I asked my dad maybe for about $200, but that's about it. He was trying to get more information of what that feels like so he can create the product.
Mm-hmm.
So he's literally creating a product to solve a problem.
Yeah. Everything we do to make money is solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, open-ended questions. I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this section of the book is you have to ask open-ended questions as much as possible. So, getting down to the nuts and bolts of it. He's got the actual script of the email. I'm sure you all read it. And he says if you ask people directly what they want, it forces them to speculate and consider something that may not be true.
Yeah.
And the most accurate representation of what people want comes from identifying what they don't want. In other words, what is it that they want to avoid? Now, it goes on to talk about incentives and discounts. And I'll just read this straight out of the book because he says it very clearly. Do not offer any sort of costly incentive beyond the results they are looking to get. The only incentive you want to offer is the promise of a solution to their problem. If you do want to offer some additional incentive to increase your survey uptake rate, that incentive should be a discount off the paid solution to the problem in exchange for their feedback. Or in the case of the previous book, he even suggested offering them the, and again, we're using a course as an example. But,
Yeah.
But, if you'll help me out with this, I'll give you the course.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to cost you anything. Now, if it was a product or a service, you wouldn't be able to do it. You'd have to do the discount.
Now, doesn't that sound like Russell Brunson?
It is
when
Russell
you started
Brunson.
something? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said in another way too, like maybe you don't want to have a discount for everybody or give it away to everybody. Have some kind of time-sensitive thing. If you'll answer this in the next 24 hours, I'll give it to you, or I'll give you the discount, or maybe a certain number of people, the first 50 people, get the discount.
Yeah.
To kind of get people to move on it now, because that was another issue is that if they don't get right on that thing, chances are it's going to get buried in their email and they'll never get around to doing it.
So did you do that with yours? You didn't do that with yours, did you?
I did not do that with mine.
Yes.
So I have a question. And I'm sorry, Ben, I want to write your name down. I'm bad at this name. Could you state your name one more time, please?
Chuck.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Donna. It's Donna.
Did you say Donna?
Donna.
Donna, got it. What is your niche?
Hi, it's Donna Mitchell.
Donna Mitchell. Okay, I'm writing it down now. I got to write it down.
Good to see you again.
Hi, guys.
What is your niche?
I help, well, personally, I have two particular brands that we're growing, and my husband has 3. But for me personally, I help women successfully navigate the corporate ladder. My focus is shifting to millennials to help them to effectively communicate with other generations and vice versa. So I'm helping people to succeed in corporate America and beyond. And in their personal lives.
That's cool.
That's interesting. Wow.
So your demographic. Okay. So can you see how this could apply for your niche?
Oh, absolutely, every day in 1,000 ways. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask that because everybody's in a different niche here, but it can apply with any niche.
Absolutely. And I think that there's great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So really the email is going to have a link to take them straight to the survey. And the first question in his example was, what's your number one biggest marketing challenge you're struggling with right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he starts off, and then he'll kind of break it down. And so anyway, to get back into the actual nuts and bolts of the thing, is that we've got to take all this information and break these people down into 3 to 5 what he calls buckets or categories.
Yep.
The less categories, the better, because the more categories you have, the more complex it's going to be. It's just going to get too complicated, and it's not going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have like 80% of your people fit into one of your, I'm going to say 3 for this, just for the sake of our conversation here, into your 3 buckets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be just as broad or as specific as you want, but you're not going to be marketing to everybody, because not everybody's going to buy. What you're trying to do here is identify the people who are the most likely to buy,
Mm-hmm.
and structure everything towards them.
Well, Chuck, I thought about this. Your guy that teaches the drone course, that guy actually has 3 different categories on his website. But I could see how asking a survey first can give you the answers that you need, and then you could pick your 3 to 5 categories there after that.
Yeah. And that was kind of an interesting thing, because his drone pilot course is a whole separate thing
Mm-hmm.
where you don't even find out that he has a whole flight training school until you're into that, because the whole drone pilot thing is its own market. It doesn't have anything to do with aviation, really.
Okay, so unless you pick the right bucket, you won't even know that.
Right. So if you go to his drone pilot school, which is Drone Pilot 101 or something like that,
Yeah.
but at some point he's going to ask you, hey, have you ever thought about being a pilot?
Mm.
And if you say yes, then that puts you into a whole funnel about, all right, it's really great, because, did you know that all this information you're learning to be a drone pilot, it's all straight out of the pilot's book too. So you got a big head start on becoming a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you respond to that, then he'll kind of figure out whether or not, by asking questions, and his wasn't a survey, it was a series of emails.
Yeah.
Ask a question.
Mm.
And based on your response, he's putting you into buckets. So he got me into the bucket of, yeah, I would like to be a pilot someday,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not in the bucket of, hell yeah, I want to get going on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the way he's kind of breaking it down is, have you started training with somebody, or are you thinking about it? Those are the first 2 buckets for him, because the message would be different. Because if I had already started with somebody else, he needs to convince me why his way is better.
I have a question for Donna, and not trying to put you in a spot here, but we try to work out these things with our niches. So you're helping women move up the corporate ladder. For a beginning person, that maybe they are thinking about going to college, maybe they're in college. What would a beginner look like in your, from what you have, the information you have, of a woman trying to move up the corporate ladder? Like, what is her single biggest challenge?
Establishing their brand. How do others view me? How do I make my voice heard? How do I differentiate myself and stand out? Their brand.
Of taking the steps to start their own brand. Like maybe it's intimidating for them?
Establishing their brand.
Yeah, okay.
So their number one concern is their brand. It's very critical, especially in a highly competitive environment.
Yeah. And are you on LinkedIn? Are you on YouTube? Like all those places? Okay, cool. I just thought I'd ask because I try to relate, the book, sometimes to our niches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see a lot of fits and a lot of valuable knowledge there. It's good.
Yeah.
Can I ask what chapter you're on?
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
We've been on 13 a lot.
We're finishing it today
This is our third day.
Like we only got through page 1, like
in a day.
in the 2 days or something.
It must be a good chapter.
It is.
Long, yeah.
Got
Do you
a lot
know?
of meat.
Yeah, he had a lot of meat. Yeah.
Got a lot of meat to it.
All right.
Yeah, it's not like we are in school, so like you dread everything. Like you guys, it's our. I really enjoy going over things because we are more likely to use it if we really chew it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Thank you, Chuck.
Oh, my pleasure.
Chuck's still
All right.
going through it.
So we're totally skipping the Excel spreadsheet. If you like Excel spreadsheets, he's got a very detailed description on how you set that up.
Yeah. And basically all you're doing is looking at the data on that spreadsheet.
But here's where I was getting hung up on this chapter, and maybe this is true for some of you guys too, is I was getting hung up on it because I was not understanding that Excel spreadsheet one bit.
Mm.
And like I get the concept, but I'm like, shit, man, this is like a whole career field knowing how to set up the Excel spreadsheet. But then I realized you don't necessarily have to do that. That would just be the optimum way of doing this.
Yeah.
And we're not going to implement every tiny detail of this into our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take what we can and use it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not going to have an Excel spreadsheet. That's not happening here
Yeah.
in the Vosburg Empire.
Well, I'm going to take the leap today because like I said, I signed up for Survey Gizmo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send out that that survey to my existing list and do the first thing he said.
Mm-hmm.
Ask what's the biggest challenge and just sit back
Yeah,
at that point. Yeah.
I like that.
yeah. And he kind of states the obvious here that the people that fill out the entire survey and also give you their contact information,
Yeah.
those are people you definitely want to follow up with. Those are people who are very likely to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, I'm not going to lie. I used to think it was rude to ask for the phone number at first, that maybe you should just ask for the name and the email. But really, be honest, on the form, you can make it where the phone number is optional.
Mm-hmm.
If they give it to you, great. If they don't give it to you, great.
Yeah, that's fine too. You're
Yeah.
getting information.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, talking about all this, I'm not having in my memories that in my both businesses, my best customers ever were the people that told me, I always feel like you're speaking to me, or you always have this stuff. So I have one physical business and one more of informational business. And in both of them, I had the best, most, magnificent results with people who would say that. I always feel like you're talking to me. And they actually would ask me, are you thinking about me when you're doing this?
Well, that's the thing. Where are you getting your information to do that video?
If talking about videos, I've been researching them by the things they post and stuff like that. And also when I define the type of sort of personality, I kind of know what they're going through.
Yep.
And, with my first business is that I know what, women want to look like for their special days. So I know I pick the best.
So you're kind of doing the ask formula your own way.
I guess a little bit, but this is a great reassurance. This is, yes, definitely tells you that do it better.
Yeah, because like I said, Pat Flynn used to do this. He didn't necessarily do it. He probably did it on email too. But if you really think about it, the people that follow you are pretty much on your list also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can ask it anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I just researched on my own. I realized I don't always ask, but I spend time to research. And I think you know, like, wouldn't every one of us feel good when we need some product or service, and the person, you know, we meet the person, and then they just, as if we asking them, they just giving us all the answers we're looking for?
Could you say that again?
That when we have a reverse situation, we are coming to somebody for a product or service, and instead of explaining ourselves a million times, and the person that sells to us not getting it, that we come to a person and they magically answer all our prayers. Like,
yeah, magically. Yeah.
Veronica, you have a definitive brand. Donna was just talking about that. You definitely have a definitive brand.
Yeah.
thank you.
No
Like,
doubt
Yeah.
about
yeah. You know, it's like elegance and,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. I mean, that would be one word that I would come up with.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even with her guys, even when you describe them, they tend to sound similar.
Yes.
They tend to be over the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guys that you were describing that went on the Ukraine thing, and some of them are pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe doctorate, you know, or, you know, top of their fields.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they're all kind of wrapped up. They're like the same person, but just a different face.
I have three. I could definitely do three buckets for my guys, because I have, yes, I have like three main categories there. Thank you. Yes. And with you know, with the first thing, like Pat just said, I think the women who have like weddings or some events, they do. I have only these women who buy from me my first, that the main thing is elegance and like style from earlier days. So I know I talking that directly to them when I list the products.
And did you create your MailChimp yet? Your email list?
Yes. Yes,
What
finally.
are your 3 buckets, Veronica?
My 3 buckets with my YouTube business, you know, with the cultural and like dating thing, is I would say younger men like 35 and under, who, you know, fresh new, you know, want to experience and travel and possibly have international relationship. Number 2 is the guys that Abdul just described, guys after 40 to their 50s who have been married already, wasn't great, so that they will never do that again, but then they think, you know, I want to try something else, I want to travel, and I want to just even discover something, but they're usually inspired by somebody else's example. So, and number 3 is I call them delusional guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, would that be like the guy that was interrupting you the other day?
Yeah.
You get a few crazies.
Yeah, and number 3, it's craziest, yes.
Yeah.
That's okay. Their money's green too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I have to admit.
Let me guess. They buy the most?
Sometimes, but you know, if I see that, it's not gonna, like, I actually fired that guy from the group because I refund him, you know, some money because I just couldn't take it anymore. So you kind of have to match it, because I have to be ethical. He wasn't very ethical as well, and he drove my son crazy. So yeah, but you know, but the thing is, here is this question, this like moral question: do you deal with the person? I think you deal to a certain point. If there is no hope, you give up. You just give up. You give up on the money as well. You realize it's not the most important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to decide what your standards are going to be.
Yeah, because that will hurt my other clients who are high level.
Right.
Well, Chuck, didn't you say, I remember when we first started the book club, you talked about this photographer lady who I think she was a little on the attractive side, and she kind of, and most of her followers I think were men, but she kind of played into that. Didn't you say that at the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah, she made a business decision that she's going to use her appearance and make that part of her thing. You know, that's part of her marketing appeal. And market to guys that think she's hot looking.
Even though she's probably married, and the guys probably would never have a chance, but she knew that. But
yeah, nobody knows.
Married.
I don't think she is, but
No.
well,
but not that she's looking for the guy that she's marketing to, but she knows that if I play this right, I could have some paying customers.
Right. And in her ebook, she's, very candid about it. She said, when I started doing this blog, it turned out that, some guys were thinking that I was hot looking. So I decided that, okay, well, I'll just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
And, and that was a business decision that she made. And she's been, fairly successful with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's earning a living. So.
Well, and I've said this before.
What's your ebook, Chuck?
Now she wants to find the blueprint.
Her ebook. Yeah, because she wrote an ebook about membership-based.
Group?
Her business model, it's a blog. So there's the free version, which has some general information.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the pay version, which is a monthly membership version, which has more in-depth information and more revealing photos as examples of how to do the photography.
And I bet you the crazies, aka the one that Veronica's describing, are the ones that have signed up.
Put that credit card number in yet. Almost ready.
The credit card running.
I want to tell you guys that the crazy guy like 5 months ahead. So just so you know, he was really interested to be in a group. So these people, they're ready to spend, but you just need to know where you have them. Like if there's some in a separate locked group, maybe, but I can't have them around normal people because they scare my customers away.
Yeah, but don't give her the crazies.
Like, to be fair, she does it kind of in a humorous way too. So, it's not like she's just, exploiting herself or anything. It's, she does it in a way that
Everybody's happy?
Well, yeah, you got to be professional.
She does it in a way that's clever.
Yeah.
Clever and classy.
And that's good.
Yeah. Like I'll give you another example. I saw a series of technical training videos where it was 3 ladies who did the presenting, but they did the presenting dressed as French maids.
I love it.
With fake French accents.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That is getting excited.
We're literally talking about prostitutes.
And this
Keep
was,
going.
the series was, learn, I forget, it's technical stuff, like computer stuff.
Did you learn anything you told Chuck?
I learned that I like French maids. I need a French maid. That's what I figured.
What's the name of the coffee spot on Gandy where the ladies are dressed in burlesque outfits?
Yeah.
That just came up on my feed yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
There's a coffee joint in Tampa
Smart.
that they do that, and you better believe that non-coffee drinkers go get coffee.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's drive-through, too. That's the other genius of it.
Right. Right.
So they don't hang those as creepy people. They don't hang those.
Yeah, I mean, even in Seattle, they have that
Keep it moving.
bikini coffee, or the people that do coffee in short shorts. I mean, they get people. I mean, it's not like, low class or anything. It's just, it's like a lead magnet.
A little bit.
Curious. I'm not low
It's a
class.
lead magnet. That's
It is a lead. It is a lead
A
magnet.
lead magnet, Abdul?
Yes, it's a lead magnet.
Okay.
Now, see, you didn't think this chapter was going to be fun, now did you?
Chuck, you make everything fun.
Oh, thanks. I try. All right, so here's what we're going for. That all this comes down to this.
Okay.
To determine what buckets naturally emerge in your market. And sometimes they're not the ones you think they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Identify what people's hot buttons are. And that's important because if you just say, hey, what's your hot buttons? You're not going to get a true and accurate answer.
No.
Identify what their objections are. Again, if you say, okay, well, what are your objections? You're not going to get an accurate answer. What their biggest challenges are, and also to, kind of figure out if demographics lines up with this somehow. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the email list. So
Yeah.
remember when I was doing MailChimp and putting all my emails in and all of that stuff? When you Abdul, I guess this is you and Veronica because you guys have your list ready to go. When you're doing your survey, are you sending it to your entire list and then sorting it out?
Yeah, because I think that's wise because that
I
helps
don't
you
have
figure.
these people in categories. I don't know what category they will fit in. So, and I have to do surveys for both businesses. So I guess I should look. Okay.
The first thing to do, I think, Yolanda, is to send a survey out, and then once you get the information, then you could do your 3 buckets
Yeah.
Gotcha.
because they'll tell you who they are.
And then you're going to have to go back in your database and assign buckets to these people
Yep.
based on their email addresses. And that's going to be tedious and that's time consuming, but keep in mind your database is gold.
Is
Yeah.
that the Excel portion of it, Chuck?
I'm sorry?
Is that the Excel spreadsheet portion of it, the sorting?
Well, yeah, if you want to sort it using it that way, you could. But like, I'll give you an example. Our main buckets, we actually have more than 5, but the main ones are this. We've got active clients, engage, which is people we need to get on right now because they're good prospects. And then we got A, B, and C prospects. A people, we don't have to get on them today, but they're likely to buy a house or sell a house within the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Those are people we need to be on top of.
Mm-hmm.
B people, they're likely to use us, but they're not ready yet. So, you know, we can lay off of them a little bit, but we need to stay on their radar screen. It may not happen in the next 12 months, but when it does, they're likely to choose us if we stay on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the C's. They're nowhere near ready.
French maids.
Well, the whole idea is to get the French maids up to the engage point.
Well, even in your like, I don't know, you guys have Bun, but in Aweber, you can segment your list. So you can, once you find those 3 categories, you can create your email campaign in those different lists based on what category they fall into.
And you can even take it a step further. Like, okay, let's say somebody, you know, we're talking to somebody and they moved from A to engage. You know, it's like, okay, they were going to be in the next 12 months. We find out they're fixing to get ready. Well, as soon as we put them in the engage category, that would trigger a series of emails to go in.
Specifically for them.
Specific to somebody that's getting ready.
Yeah.
And just like if somebody is put into the A bucket, that would trigger a series of emails that is specific to people who, you know, it's out there a little bit, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you never know. Also, people who are in the second group, they can have circumstances change in their life faster, and you know they
right, because things happen, and that's why you have to stay on top of the A's really well, because even though they may be 12 months out, that 12 months could be tomorrow with one little change in their circumstances. All they have to do is decide, you know, I think it's time.
Yeah.
Remember, I forget what book it was, or we read about the mattress company that actually, when a person bought a mattress, he kept them on the email list, 12-month deal, and then I think like on a 6-month, he asked something like, it's time to flip over your mattress.
Yeah.
And then by the time I think they reached maybe a certain point, he was like, it's time to come get another mattress.
Yeah, it depends how bad you use it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some heavy use.
Oh my gosh, this is
Usually
really
that's
bad.
just on one side or the other.
Can you guys see that?
yeah.
Who are we looking at here?
That's the barista at the
Oh,
coffee place.
well, that's one of
She's one of them. That came up in my feed yesterday.
that is nowhere near the hottest one either.
No, but that's a little cutie. I
Yeah,
took a picture.
that's a good lead magnet right there.
Took her picture.
Well, we can do better than that, okay?
How come I wasn't in the car when we went there?
I don't know.
Damn it, I always miss out.
Oh,
All right.
but that's at the coffee place.
Now Chuck loves coffee all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it might be time to try coffee again. Give it a fair chance.
Yeah.
I may not like coffee, but there's other things I like. So getting these things down into buckets, it gives us better returns because we're targeting our message better.
Mm-hmm.
And also it cuts down on our workload because we're not barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's really important.
So that's another way of looking at it. He doesn't really get into that, but it's true. I mean, we've got limited resources. You know, I think we're all small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we don't have a huge infrastructure for taking care of this stuff. So we really need to target our efforts so we'll get the best response. And this helps us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Get people into the right buckets. And I mean, yeah, you know, you might be thinking, oh, well, what about the person who's in your C bucket that makes a decision? Well, you know, there's always going to be people that don't fit, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't get everybody. You just got to focus on the people you're more likely to get and put your efforts there, and, you know, and you'll be plenty successful.
And then what's on the refers section?
And of course, you know, asking like that mattress guy, I'll bet you in his, hey, you know, 6 months, it's time to flip it over, you know, unless you're very active, I'll bet he's asking for a referral in that email. You know, I'll give you our actual buckets. We got active, engage.
Past clients.
Well, I'm kind of giving them in a order that makes sense instead of alphabetical. You know, our A, B, and C list. We've got a list of referrers. Anybody who has referred somebody to us, they're in a special category. They're VIPs to us.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Those are people that get treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
We make darn sure because, you know, really, you know, from a business standpoint, those are the ones that would be your closest friends.
Uh-huh.
You know, to kind of put it into terms like personal terms, you know, those are your close friends. Those are the people you want to stay in touch with.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, the people that you've done business with in the past, yeah, those are pretty close friends too. Whereas, you know, people you've just talked to, well, they're acquaintances. You know, you want to stay in touch with them, but, you know, not at the expense of your close friends.
Yeah, I think referral people
Makes
are really
sense.
gold. Yeah, they are really gold because, I mean, they bring you business. They kind of sign under your quality.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody that's out there saying how great you are and recommending you to their friends, I mean, that's a very special person, and they deserve exceptional special treatment.
It is true.
And what is that? What kind of special treatment? Do you take them to dinner? Do you send them a gift?
Send them chocolate.
Well, yes, for those, but more importantly, just staying in touch with them. Anybody that's on the referrer list, I talk to them at least once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing you want to do is take somebody who's been nice enough to refer somebody to you and let them forget about you.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a tragedy.
Mm-hmm. So you
I know someone that have me on their automated stay in touch list because I referred people to them. And I didn't think about automating it because it's not as personable. But if you get a lot of referrals, you have to, at some point, figure out a way to automate it. But I'm on their automated list, and they check in and ask me, you know, is there anything that they can do for me and how I'm doing. And they remember that I have a husband and kids, and I get that in my email too. And if I reply to it, then I get a response. If I don't, then it's just a ding. I'm in their memory.
Wow, that's good.
I like that a lot because the first thing when you said you're on an automated list, you know, does that get bothersome? You know, do you get tired of hearing it? But then I heard you, Yoli, say that they do ask you, is there anything that I can do for you? That's the calming piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not saying, hey, you got any more referrals for me?
Exactly.
Right, because that would be really cheesy.
Yeah.
Well, it comes from, the other thing that makes me pay attention is that it doesn't come from her business. It comes from her personal email.
Right.
It's probably not her personal email anymore, but when we were just friends and not business, sharing business, whatever, it was her email that we would use to just share pictures or whatever the case may be. And so it comes from that email. and not anything regarding her business. So it feels personable. Although I know it's automated because I'm smarter than a fifth grader, it still feels like, because if I do reply, should I reply? And I replied just to make sure that it wasn't, just to, you know, fix my own theory in my head.
Yeah.
And I did get a response.
Well, you know, I think what I'm hearing in this, and the key to it, is that it's coming from an attitude of being grateful.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Of, hey, you know, is there anything I can do to help you?
Yeah,
And, you know, that you can't fake that sincerity.
that's true.
And also you can semi-automate it, because like mine's not automated, because, you know, our business, we don't deal with a huge volume of people. So mine's semi-automated. It's a recurring event on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I just would
Right.
be-
Well, I responded to her on the like third one. I said, yes, I replied, yes, we can get together because I miss your face, and let's go to the new restaurant. And so we ended up getting together, and we went to Tibby's. At the time, Tibby's was new, you know, just for drinks and appetizers or whatever, but we did get together. It was short, you know, and it was nice, and she had no problem with doing it. And I don't know that she does that with everyone, but like I said, I'm on her list, but she checks in, and, you know, just make sure that we stay in connection. And I'm thinking about her.
Yolanda,
See-
because if somebody asks me that, I definitely will tell them what they can help me with. Like, I have a list.
That's powerful,
Right.
because what if you have like 10,000 people on your list?
Ooh.
I really hope everyone don't say, let's get together because I miss your face.
Because I'm like, wow, like when I hear you guys say like you put on lists, I'm like, wow, that's impressive. But if you have a big list,
Yeah, you better hope you don't have too many Veronicas on that list. That might be a whole different bucket.
No, I
yeah,
was thinking, if you're asking me that, I'll sure tell you what I need.
You would have someone mowing your yard.
Yeah, oh, I have a lot of things happening to me because I'm only one person. Like, I learned how to actually not be so shy and step out of this. And when people ask me and say, like, I'm like, yeah, you know, you can do this and you can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm afraid of you.
Yeah.
Veronica's definitely gonna learn, if she hasn't learned it already, that with people that follow you, sometimes you have to be very brief
Yeah.
and don't be too personable. They may take it as like, oh, that's rude, but you have to be that way because there are some weirdos out there.
Yeah.
There are definitely weirdos out there.
Now, see,
Yeah.
I'm a good enough salesman to handle you. I'd say, oh man, here's the number of a guy that mows yards that I can recommend. He does a great job.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not going to be pushing your lawnmower, I'll tell you that.
Mm-mm.
But I'll
Yeah.
work it with somebody.
We told you about that lady who asked us to help her with her yard work. Remember we told you about that?
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
That he dated 30 years ago. And,
People are
and
interesting.
she all of a sudden reconnected with us. And she was
Mhm.
in the hospital. We went and saw her. She asked, oh, can you come see me in the hospital? We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We thought maybe it was a ministry
We thought it was
opportunity
a ministry opportunity.
because,
No.
you know, she was dealing with some life changes. No,
Yeah.
no, she wanted to
I definitely believe in the power of ask. I definitely believe in that. And really, all they can say is no, except for CJ. He's not allowed to say no. But anyone else is just, I believe in it.
She's in the hospital bed, and I put my foot down on that one.
Say,
Yeah, we're a little
I'm
bit,
not getting my emotions in this and
My
be blinded.
New York came out that day. And
What?
she was in the hospital bed. My New York came out. I said, oh, no.
No, you didn't.
I did
She's
so.
trying to act all tough.
No, but I did. I said no.
That was the clean version, huh, Pat?
Did I
I-
not?
We can always tell when it's after 7. This time, so
All right, it's time for us to get out there and be successful. And
Yeah.
take this information and start trying to make some money off of it.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to, if I can log into my survey gizmo, I'm logging into it now because I'm getting ready to put that out there. Start on Facebook.
And if you don't mind, Abdul, I wouldn't mind seeing Survey Gizmo. Maybe we could take 5 minutes tomorrow. If
Yeah.
if you feel like it, or if you feel like
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
know it well enough to
Mhm.
just give us a quick peek at it, because I'd be interested in seeing what that looks like.
Yeah, and they have a free
Like, really
version.
what it looks like, not just seeing their website of, hey, this is great, look.
No, they have a free version too. If you only have 3 surveys, So I'm starting off with one survey. So eventually I may have to go to the paid version, but yeah. So I don't have no problem showing that.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, good job, Chuck, and thanks for taking it, man. I'll take chapter 14.
All right. We are past chapter 13.
Good
Smooth
job,
sailing
Chuck.
from here.
Chuck,
Yeah.
you rocked it today, really.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing
Good job,
now.
man.
Thank you all for having me. It's been a great session.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Take care.
God, it's so great seeing you. We really like you.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Hopefully, it didn't scare you away.
See y'all later. Take care.
Alrighty.
Bye, guys.